What's going on, everybody? Welcome to an episode of Retro Ramblings, the series where I play some classic old video games and talk about news and stuff that's interesting and fun. Today's game is just going to be Asteroids, the classic arcade shooter where you're a little spaceship and you shoot some little balls at some bigger balls and hope the balls don't hit you. It's fun, but it's just the background. Enjoy it, I guess. Today's topic, though, is going to be the Vancouver Canucks. Now, this is my hometown team, and I want them to do good. I want them to succeed, but the debacle that was last season was just awful. There's no silver lining. You can't say it was good. You can't, it was just terrible. It was bad all around. And I just wish it would have gone differently, but something needs to change. And I guess we're on the right track, but let's discuss some things. First, we should summarize what the season was. Let's look at some people who I think are to blame. Let's go back to March, middle of March. Henrik Sedin's 1000th NHL game, and it should have been more of a celebration. Should have been a home ice win over a great team, and it would have been an in-game ceremony with standing ovations. It would have been one of those. It should have been one of those 1 goal and 3 assist games where he and Daniel are just dangling around and showing off, and they're just making the other team look bad. That's what they do in their heyday. That's what they are good at. I know they're called the Sisters. I know they are looked down upon, but in reality, they are good players. They won the Art Ross back-to-back. That's pretty good. That's what that game should have been. Instead, that's not what happened. It was just Henrik by himself in Winnipeg without his injured brother. And it was a meaningless game. 2 non-playoff teams just playing each other for whatever. And it was like a whisper. Nobody remembers it. One of the best games of his career, and nobody cares. That's basically summarizes the season in a nutshell. Nobody cares. I think one of the main obvious reasons was the new coach, John Tortorella. What a guy. I mean, he may not be the most disliked of all the candidates that should be to blame for the Canucks season, but he's one of the obvious ones. As the coach, he's responsible for the day-to-day operations, clearly. Yeah, there's a number of reasons why he's bad. What he hasn't done. What hasn't he done? Well, clearly he didn't get them to the playoffs. That's the big one that he hasn't done. But there's also the little things of, charging the Calgary dressing room, getting suspended. And he even pulled for Sweden over Canada in the Olympics. Don't forget that. Can't forget the Heritage Classic either, where he snubbed Roberto Luongo. Luongo said, "Oh, this is the one game I want to play all year. I'm excited for it, but let's get out there. Let's try and turn the season around." But nope. It starts lack for some reason, and they lose again. And then Luongo's gone. I mean, sure, they get out of a $30 million contract. I guess there's a silver lining for that, but still, Luongo's already been the scapegoat for everything. He just wanted to play one Heritage Classic game that he was looking forward to all year, he said. And you start the backup goalie? What did that do? What does that accomplish? What else? He hasn't done anything. On top of that, after he came back from a suspension, because he's a bum, he wasn't okay, guys, I'm back, we're gonna focus, we're gonna make the playoffs. No, he didn't do that at all. They lost 12 out of the 14 games that they played after he came back. And that whole time, they could have had a playoff spot. It was there for the taking, but no, they just collapsed. They played without poise or confidence, they blew leads, they gave up late goals, they just made bushels of errors all the time. Obviously, it's his responsibility to do better. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. He wasn't good in New York. You could see the clips all the time of him, getting mad at reporters and, freaking out. And then then they thought that was a good idea to bring him here? Why? So he could do the same thing to our news reporters? He was supposed to, apply a cattle prod to a group of players that are old and clearly on the decline. in the hopes of getting something more out of them than they had shown after Alain Vigneault kind of failed them. But nope, he didn't do that either. He just thinks that shot blocking is important. And I don't know why. There was way better candidates, I'm sure, for the job. I don't even know why they got rid of Vigneault in the first place. I didn't see anything wrong with him. He got them to the playoffs 6 seasons in a row. And then two President's Trophies wins back to back. Like, countless division titles. One final appearance that was one game away from changing everything. But no. Like, and now he's taken New York to the second round of the playoffs, and Tortorella's just nowhere. So I don't know why they thought that was a good trade. Maybe, I don't know. I think the owners and the GM, Gillis, are to blame too. I don't know if Gillis wanted to hire Tortorella, or if the owners wanted him and they went through Gillis. But, like, Gillis obviously doesn't have enough of a backbone to say, no, I don't want this coach. Because then he just was worried that his contract wasn't going to be extended, I guess. So, yeah, the team faltering was Tortorella's job, but Tortorella's faltering of the team is on the owners and the GM. But, you know, since the poop rolls down the hill, it all just piles up on Tortorella. Which I think it should, because I think he's just dumb and bad. And they missed the playoffs. I think I don't know. Clearly, like, during the middle of the season, people were calling for them to be fired. But I don't think the owner wanted to fire two guys that were on 5-year deals still. Nobody had that much money. But let's just hope that the season fades. Maybe we'll get better. It's always, like, you can tell that the fans around the Canuck brand, they're getting fed up. It's growing toxic. It's always dangerous to try and make generalizations about a fan base. But this one seems more indifferent toward their heroes than at any time in the past decade, for all the reasons that everyone knows. We've had years of poor draft picks, nothing to show for it. We've gotten shitty trade players, like, we've traded for shitty players. What have we got? Keith Ballard and David Booth. Ballard's not even here anymore, and Booth is just a weirdo who can score 2 goals sometimes. And, like, random deadline rental players, too, like Derek Roy and Sundin. Well, I remember how good that went. Ugh. And, like, the no-trade contracts we hand out all the time. Like, they're going out of style. And then to make all these, like, the straw that broke the camel's back was the whole Luongo and Schneider fiasco, for lack of a better word. Like, 2 number 1 goalies waiting in the wings. A win-win. And it turned into a lose-lose. They're both gone. And now, what do we have to show for it? But there's nothing. He gets rid of Luongo. Okay, cool, we get that. He saved some cap space. We get back Markstrom and Mathias. Schneider's gone, we get back Horvat. So 2 elite goalies for a bunch of, like, no-names that aren't even NHL ready, really. I don't know. All in all, it feels that the Canucks have just jammed several years' worth of decline into a few short months. They just stuffed it all in there. And it kind of just imploded. Like, Tortorella, the Luongo trade, Gillis just crapping about the team. It's been an awful thing. I have nightmares at night for how bad this team played. And it needed a change. But finally, they did something. They fired the general manager. I approve that. I mean, Gillis was useless. Just, like him and Tortorella, both were terrible. And they hired Trevor Linden as president of hockey operations. As, like, a band-aid to staunch the bleeding. Everyone was calling for Gillis to be fired. Like, the whole season. I think they knew they needed to do something, when they saw how bad their season tickets were doing. The deadline came, and it went, and they extended it because they knew they were doing bad. They saw how much money they were losing, keeping these shitty-ass coaching staff employed, and they were like, okay, we need to do something or we're going to be poor. So finally the owners did something and got rid of Gillis, and they brought Trevor Linden. Like, the city's most beloved hockey player ever. Clearly it's a marketing ploy to get money, but still, at least they did something smart. Of course, like, Linden is going to be, I don't know if he'll be good. I mean, he's been retired for like 7 years, and he's been selling houses down in Arizona. But who knows? Maybe he'll turn this team around. He knows, obviously, like, he was the captain of the team for like 7 years. And I feel he has to do something. Like, it can't go anywhere but up. It can't go anywhere but up, because we've hit rock bottom. We just need a major shake-up in the players. That's the next step. We got no more coach, because Tortorella got fired. Forgot about that. So we have Linden, no coach. Now we need a new GM, a new coach, and we need young players. Because all the guys are like 30, and they're shit. So that's what we need. A new coach, and new players. And maybe they'll be worth watching next year. Who knows? Anyways, there's that random talk about stuff that went everywhere. So hopefully that wasn't too boring. And if you want to hear me ramble on about other stuff next time, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next time.